beautiful people. How are you today? I wanted to talk about focus today. We just got over a full moon and a full moon that was called a super moon. And I wanted to talk about when things like that come up, that tend to start challenging our energy. There is a focus that we can have that is really powerful, that we don't have to be a victim to the energies at hand, but we can work with them. And maybe they could make our capacities and our superhero-ness even greater. So let's talk about this. When you're focused on, say, an energy at hand, a portal that opens, or a full moon or a new moon, do you just become a victim of it? Or do you use it to your advantage? Or do you even not even realize it's happening and just kind of let it go? You're like, oh, I'm not even aware of those energies, doesn't matter. Or I am aware of those energies and it doesn't matter. What I've noticed with things like this, like energies like Mercury retrograde or this big moon that we had, I think there was an eclipse too, is that it's super powerful to go through it consciously and to use our own awareness instead of defining and naming what that new moon is about and what its effects are going to be on me. Instead of like defining that, just knowing that there's some energy happening, there's some big energy in the air, and then following my own awareness around where I feel guided to sleep more, or to get out into nature more, or to dream a little bit more, or to meditate more, or whatever, right? Mercury retrograde is another one. It's a really big one. People are like, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde. I used to be like that, and it's really funny because years ago, my husband and I, without fail, would get in a fight. Because during Mercury retrograde, it's defined as, communication gets wobbly, technology gets wobbly, right? And it never failed. It seemed that we always got in a fight over Mercury retrograde. These days, I don't notice it. I don't notice it at all. But I do become aware of when it is in retrograde. I'm like, okay, good to know. It's a time to really tune in a little bit more fine-tuned into my own awareness. So same thing with the supermoon and an eclipse. It's like it's nice to know what's going on. So there's some powerful energy in the air. But sometimes if we learn too much about how it's affecting us, we almost become a victim to the energy and part of that reality, and there's no choice there. And instead of using our own awareness, we kind of just get dragged along by like kind of a leash into the realities that people are saying are happening with this energy. And I'm here to say is that doesn't have to be, unless you want to do that. And so what happened with Mercury retrograde is my husband and I just started to put our focus somewhere else. Know that it was there, know that the energy of Mercury retrograde was there, and we kind of cleared some of the definitions around it. We've cleared some of the forms and structures around it. So now it's like, oh, okay, now we just get to have our awareness around it. So when I notice that, maybe we're not talking as much, or maybe we're missing each other's point a little bit during during Mercury retrograde, I just back up and follow my awareness, try to get clear with what I'm saying. It's kind of like how I would use my awareness anyway, even if it wasn't Mercury retrograde or a lunar eclipse. So if we're willing to receive and have all of ourselves, we get to have all of our awareness too, all the time. And when you're willing to have your awareness all the time, Mercury retrograde, full moon, super moon, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, they don't have a lot of control over you. You're not a victim to that energy. You just get to be aware and flow from there. I like that. Be aware and flow from there. So, where in your life do you feel a victim to bigger energies in your life? The collective energy, the political energy, whatever's happening in the world, that's an energy. So if there's a big collective about something, if there's a big energy vortex, it could be a collection of people, it could be some, sun flares, it could be any of that. It could be your own energy upgrading. To not be a victim of it, we have to be willing to have our own awareness. So, how do you grow that awareness? Well, it takes some practice. It really does take practice to live in awareness most of the time. And so here are a few things that could help. First is, make sure you're meditating every day. Sit still. Could be 5 minutes, could be half hour, could be 45 minutes, whatever you have time for. But make sure you're having some still time with your source self, because that is the seat and the seed of your awareness. So make sure you're knowing the flavor of that, okay? So number one, meditate. Number two is you can tune in with your own sound. You can make a sound like, ooh, ah. It doesn't have to be that high. I just tend to go high. But the cool part about that is that when you start listening to your own sound, you start listening to what's in there. You become aware of the emotions, the feelings, and the openness and the essence in your voice. It's really, really cool. And I know most people have not tried this, but give it a try. Tone Om a few times and then be very quiet and see what pops into your mind's eye. And what do you start knowing about yourself just by receiving your own voice? It's really powerful. And number three is tune in. So we create our reality. We have the opportunity to create our reality every 10 seconds. Why is it 10 seconds? I'm not sure. That's what a teacher told me. my mentor from Access Consciousness, his name is Gary Douglas. He said, you create your reality every 10 seconds. So what do you want to create in this 10 seconds? What are you aware of in this 10 seconds? Meaning, like, what do you hear, feel, see, sense? And then in this 10 seconds, and then in this 10 seconds, right? So start breaking your day down into 10-second increments. And at first it feels cumbersome. But once you become really practiced in meditating and listening to your own sound, listening to where you are, listening to what takes you over here, listening to what takes you over here, these little practices start helping you fine tune when something feels different or wonky out here, or an alignment out here. So if someone's in front of you, communicating in a tough way, oh, okay, like you start being aware of how to work it in a spiraling up way. Or if a big energy is coming from a sun flare and you're feeling like this, like you make it the awareness of just like, wow, my body just wants rest and integration right now. I'm gonna take a nap, instead of being like, oh my God, I'm so sick, like, oh, and start like spiraling down and thinking there's the worst of things, right? So guys, work with the energies at hand. Okay, if you are on an awakening journey and there's big energies at play, you get to be aware of them and navigate yourself to have ease with them, joy, and even peace. So last night was the supermoon, and it was a lunar eclipse, and it was a full moon. And so I went for a walk with my dog and my husband, and I usually love being outside, but there's so many people up at our trail, and I was walking around, and I just started feeling like almost like dizzy. And I was like, you know what? I've had enough. And if we're creating our life from our past, I've done this before, when you create your life from your past, you'd say, what's wrong with me? I usually love taking an evening walk. What's wrong with me? Why am I dizzy? Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? And instead, I was just like, I'm getting the awareness to go home now and relax on the couch and take a break. And in the past, I would have judged the shit out of that because I was just like, creating my life from a past reality, and getting down on myself, and feeling like a victim to the energies at play or to my exhaustion. And instead, I was just like creating in this 10 seconds. Okay, my body wants to recline right now, not walk. Okay, there's no judgment around that. And once I gave my body that opening, right, to just have what it needed, I was able to get up, and I had to do some straightening up, and I still had to go to the store with my son in the evening. So it wound up being a pretty late night. But because I was willing to have my awareness and not judge it, and just take a break and lay down without judging myself and defining something, I actually got true rest. A lot of times when we take a rest, or we stop what we're doing because we feel bad, we don't rest right away. We don't absorb the rest right away because we're judging it and naming it and defining it. And once we do that, like, so many things spiral down and close into like boxes of reality. So is this all making sense? Let me know in the comments, and let me know if this is helpful. Yeah, so I had the energy on a super full moon lunar eclipse to do what I needed to do once I was willing to receive my awareness and give it the reclining time that my body wanted. So how do you navigate big energies when they're at play? Okay, let me know if this is helpful. I'm curious if any of you have gone through what I've gone through with, judging myself, or feeling like a victim to these astrological energies, and if we can start to do this differently, right? Unhook from the forms and structures and definitions of what's being said about this energy, and tune in to what our mind, body, and spirit want to have at this moment, and be willing to receive that information, and being willing to do whatever it takes, right, to be in that moment, and creating our lives every 10 seconds. So thanks for tuning in. Hope this was helpful. And I love making these videos because it's reminders for me as well. So let me just recap. If you want to have more ease and flow and inner peace during high energy times on the planet, first, make sure you're meditating. Use your voice to hone in on your awareness. And number 3 is create your life in 10-second increments. Practice that. Know that you can create a new reality every 10 seconds and get super present, not creating from the past. All right. So when you're living with those three things, you'll be able to grow your awareness and not feel like you are being dragged around on a leash with these energies. Okay. Beautiful people. Thanks for being here. Subscribe and click that bell if you want more content on remembering your greatness. And thank you so much for the light you are and all the magic you bring to the planet during this time of the Great Awakening. It's an honor to be here with you right now. Many blessings. Namaste.